Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool, back again with another Epic 7 Shujruple video for you guys today. And today we're going to be talking all about Senya and Command Model Laika and if they're worth pulling for. Now we're also going to be talking about Spear of a New Dawn, Senya's artifact, as well as Command Model Laika's artifact Glowwings 21, and if those are worth purchasing from the Powder of Knowledge store, because when these banners are featuring another artifact, that artifact, instead of having a pity, as you guys know, you can just buy them from the Powder of Knowledge shop. Going to be talking about if these units are good and what they're good at, and if you guys should be pulling for them, and also if their artifacts are, something that you want to purchase for, like I said. So that getting started, let's talk about Senya. So if you guys don't know what Senya does, let's actually talk about her skills really quick so you guys can kind of understand what she's good at and how good she actually is. So looking at her skills really quick, we're going to see that her S3, it is an AoE attack that will actually have a chance to decrease hit chance and will also have a chance to provoke for 1 turn, and she will also adopt a counter attacking stance for 3 turns. Now the animation for this skill, as you guys can see, is pretty amazing. I was pretty hooked onto this unit. She's one of my favorite units just because of her artwork and her animations. You're going to see, you have a chance to actually not land both debuffs together, but once you do more of this, it'll be an extra 25% to both the provoke and the decrease hit chances, capping at 100% and also 85% respectively, which will make it pretty likely to land. And for that reason, people sometimes also run her on an effect in this build to make sure that lands, because these are very annoying debuffs. Next, we have our S2. It is going to be a passive attack increase and also a passive critical hit resistance. Now, with this S2, guys, you're going to notice that she cannot trigger critical hits, and also when she is hit by a non-critical hit, she'll also deal damage to the attacker, and also activate a secondary effect that will give her a speed buff and a barrier to her entire team that scales with her own attack. Now, because she does get that passive attacking, you'll notice that her attack stat goes very, very high, and it's very nice because you don't need critical hit chance or damage anymore on her, so you can just stack her on high attack and she'll do crazy damage. Next, we have our S1, guys. It is going to be a single target attack that goes up to 100% chance to provoke if you Mulgora this to plus 10, or not plus 10, plus 3 for that plus 10% effect chance. And when it is not your turn, so when you're counterattacking, from that counterattacking stance from your S3, it'll go to 100% because you get that bonus 25% on top of that 75 base. So pretty powerful. You're going to kind of see, once you S3 and you provoke an enemy, they're actually going to hit you, and with that counterattacking stance that you can see on Senya right here, she's going to counterattack again and refresh that provoke buff. So it's kind of like a never-ending chain of provoke and counterattack, which makes her very powerful because she's also going to be proccing that speed buff on herself and also that barrier to her team. And you're going to notice that she does crazy damage and she's super tanky if she doesn't get crit because of the fact that she is a bruiser, so you're going to build her on very high health and defense, and also because you don't have to worry about critical hit chance and defense, or critical hit chance and critical damage. You can stack her on super tanky builds while having a lot of attack. So Senya overall, guys, pretty powerful. I think she's super strong in Guild Wars defense. Now, is she worth pulling for as a unit? Now, personally, I think Senya is really strong, but only really strong in like one area of content, maybe 2. And that area of content is going to be for Guild Wars defense. Now, for Guild Wars defense, she's extremely, extremely powerful. She's going to be one of the most meta units in the current metagame for Guild Wars defense. You're going to see her all the time with like Shu, for sure, because Shu can also give a critical hit resistance buff to her from her S3, which will stack with this 50%, so it'll be a 100% chance that she can't get critical hit, which is super, super powerful, and also with an opener such as Lua and Conquer Lilius. If you guys don't have those units around Senya, then I don't really recommend pulling for her, because without those units around her, Senya is not nearly as good. But if you do surround her with Shu and either Conquer Lilius or Lua, she's one of the best defense units in the game in one of the best defense team comps. So super powerful, and she's also usable in World Arena and RTA if you like using her there. But for the most part, you're mostly going to see her in Guild Wars defense. But she's everywhere in Guild Wars defense, trust me. She's super powerful. But if you're not too serious about getting to super high guild defense ranks with your guild, not really worth it. You only really need her in like top 100, I'd say like top 250 maybe for Guild Wars. But besides that, definitely won't really use her. She's not really good in PvE because of the fact that she can't crit, and most of your damage from PvE will come from critical hits. So that being said, definitely won't recommend her for newer players. 1, she's a super late game PvP unit, and 2, she kind of needs a lot of pieces around her to actually make her work. If you already have Senya though, you might want to consider building her if you're seeing that your Guild Wars defense seems lacking, because winning on Guild Wars defense will actually net you more Mystic Medals, so it is a good investment to actually take. Now talking about Senya's artifact, Spear of a New Dawn. So this artifact is going to be after you use a basic skill, you'll have a chance to inflict additional damage to the target that will scale with your caster's attack. Plus 15, this will go up to 75% chance. Max level, obviously 100% chance. Very similar to Uberius' Tooth. It might seem like you actually need this at plus 30 for this to be good, but actually not really. If you have this at just plus 15, still very good. The only thing is this is only really used on Senya, and this is Senya's best artifact by far. So if you guys don't plan to build your Senya and use it in Guild Wars or Arena or PvP or whatever, then I definitely wouldn't buy this. But if you do want to use your Senya, or you already have a Senya built and you don't have this artifact, you definitely want this. There are other artifacts you can use on Senya, but Spear of a New Dawn is like by far the best. It is super broken on her, and it makes her do a ton more damage than if she didn't have this artifact. So this artifact, like I said, if you guys do plan to use her, definitely buy it. If not, easy skip. Next, let's talk about Laika. She's an Earth Ranger, pretty powerful. You can use her in both PvE and PvP. Let's talk about her skills really quick so you can also kind of understand why she's good. So Laika, guys, she is a very powerful opening unit. In PvE, she is okay in like Hades and stuff like that, especially in like one-shot teams. But there are better options out there that you can use. So mostly going to be a PvP unit. She's very niche, but I think if you have her well built, she's actually pretty strong. She's one of the more sleeper units, I'd say. You're going to see her S3, guys. It is an AoE attack that will have a 100% chance to reduce speed for 2 turns and a 75% chance to put them to sleep if you max this out to +4. And also you're going to see this gives immunity to your entire team for 2 turns. So her animation also looks pretty sick. She just, points her hand and then bam. Lasers or rockets, I guess, come out in a huge explosion. Pretty cool. Pretty fun unit to use. I really like her design. But more importantly, is she good? So looking at her S2, guys, you can see it is a 75% chance, going up to 100% chance if you +3 this, to target an enemy. It's a non-attack skill. You're also going to increase the attack of the ally, except for the caster with the highest attack, for 2 turns, so it's an attack buff, and also decrease skill cooldown before triggering a dual attack. So if we had a unit besides Laika that was a high damage dealing unit, like a Spectre Tenebria, or a Landy, or a SSB, you basically S2 here, it'll target, and then you'll attack buff your ally and they'll dual attack. So very strong. It works kind of like Aros's S2, but this target it's 100% chance, and you're also giving an attack buff to your ally while decreasing skill cooldowns. So for that reason, you're going to see that she's a very powerful opener. You open with your S3, put the enemy to sleep, or most of the enemy to sleep, and if you can take your next turn in S2, you can pretty much one-shot another unit. S1, guys, it is a single target attack that will increase combat readiness of herself and another ally. Now, she might seem like a pretty decent opening unit because, sleep, super OP, enemy basically gets stunned for a turn and they are decreased speed, and also because she can dual attack and attack buff. The only thing is you have to see that she kind of needs help getting her second turn off. So if her soul burn was like 20 souls for an extra turn, I think she'd be super strong. But because she doesn't have a way to get herself an extra turn, she kind of needs like another opener next to her that can kind of make it so that they can also CC the enemy so she can take another turn. And for that reason, not really that great in PvP because of the fact that you just have other openers out there that can do everything by themselves. Laika is kind of like a sub opener where you need like another opener with her to help her take another turn, like I said. For that reason, guys, definitely don't really think that she's worth pulling for. Super niche, and if you are a speed cleaver into the really end game, then maybe you can use her and use her on like a niche team or use her as like a pocket pick. But for the general population, like 99.9% of the player base, you're not going to really ever use her until she gets buffed. Pretty useless in PvP, and in PvE, definitely better units that you can use out there that are easier to get and also free to play. Now, Glow Wings 21, guys, this is going to be after using a non-attack skill, so obviously like your S2, you're going to grant a barrier equivalent to your own max HP to all your allies for 2 turns, and this can only activate once every 3 turns. This artifact's pretty garbage because not a lot of rangers have non-attack skills, first of all, and 2, Laika, you're going to be building on a high speed, high effectiveness build, so she's not going to even have that much HP. This artifact was clearly made for her, but most of the time you're going to be speed contesting with her, so it's not that great. So I think this artifact is an easy skip as well. Just to summarize, guys, command model Laika, definitely skip her, and her artifact, not really worth it at all. Senya, a decent Guild Wars defense unit, but most of you guys are probably starved for bookmarks, and if that's the case, because we just had the collab, it is fine, you don't have to pull for her, but she is a decent unit to have in your Guild Wars defense. Having a strong Guild Wars defense team is very nice because the wins you get on Guild Wars defense will actually count to how many Mystic Medals you get, so over time you'll just generate more Mystic Medals if you have a strong Guild Wars defense team. Now, Spear of a New Dawn, like I said, if you don't have Senya or don't plan to get her, definitely skip on it. Otherwise, you definitely need it on her because it is her best artifact by far. Super powerful on her, makes her do a lot more damage. That being said, that's pretty much it for this Shujupul video. Hope you guys found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.